This is 1.2 of GCSE Maths, simplifying fractions. So we looked at the definition for a fraction last time. We established that a fraction can be written as some number a over some number b, and we established that it's the same thing as writing a divided by b. So we established that some fraction a over b has this relation to the division sign. It's a divided by b. And so with that fact, we can now look at how to simplify fractions, how to manipulate them, how to change them into a form that we would prefer to use. So let's say that I have a fraction such as a half. We know that almost the definition of a half is that it is halfway between 0 and 1, hence the name. It's halfway between 0 and 1. The exact number in between 0 and 1 is a half. That's exactly in the middle. But is that the only way we can write this number that is halfway between 0 and 1? Well, no, it isn't. And it isn't because we can write a half as 1 divided by 2. But you can write a half as 2 divided by 4 also. Or as 3 divided by 6, and so on and so forth. For people who are, say, already fairly familiar with GCSE Maths, you can write it as x divided by 2x, but if you don't quite understand that terminology yet, don't worry, we'll go into it in future videos. That is to say, if I have some fraction a over b, and I do the same thing to the top as I do to the bottom, I will end up with a fraction that is exactly equivalent. It is exactly the same. So let's say, for the sake of this example, I multiply both the top and the bottom by 2. Okay? So the golden rule is, whatever I do to the top, I do to the bottom. And as long as I do that, the fractions will be equal. I'll end up with 2a over 2b. 2 lots of a, if you prefer I can do a plus a, divided by b plus b. These are the same fraction. So if I take my half, and I multiply top and bottom by 2, I will get 2 over 4. And so 2 over 4, I don't know why I keep drawing this vertical line, sorry. 2 over 4 is another way of writing the fraction that is exactly halfway between 0 and 1. And indeed, if I take my half and multiply it by 3, and get 3 over 6, that's another way of writing the number that is exactly halfway between 0 and 1. So just keep that golden rule of fractions in your mind. Whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. As long as you do that, they will be equivalent. So we're going to run through a couple of examples. To say that you simplify a fraction is to reduce it to a form where you can't divide the top and bottom by anything more. So a half is a fully simplified fraction because I can't divide either 1 or 2 by the same number to end up with an equivalent fraction where these are whole numbers. So the top and bottom need to be whole numbers in a fraction, right? So a half is already simplified. But if I said to fully simplify 2 over 4, well, both the numerator and the denominator, both the top number and the bottom number, can be divided by 2, so this fraction can be simplified. 2 divided by 2 over 4 divided by 2, which is 1 over 2, which is a fully simplified fraction. And say if the question asked us to simplify 9 over 21, we've got to think what number goes into both 9 and 21. The answer is 3. So I can divide the top by 3 and the bottom by 3. This is equal to 9 divided by 3 over 21 divided by 3, which is 3 over 7, which would be the fully simplified form of 9 over 21. Just as a little note, I like to double underline my answers because it makes it very clear to both me and the examiner what my final answer is. We can also look at what happens if we have decimals in fractions. So if I have something like, if I'm asked to fully simplify 2.5 over 3.5, and you might get this as 2 marks in a paper. And it would be 2 marks because you've got to think about 2 separate things here. Number 1, we have decimals in a fraction, which we know we can't have. They need to be removed. And number 2, it's not a fully simplified fraction. So priority number 1 always is to remove the decimals from the fraction. And have a think how we can do this. Well, as long as what we do to the top we do to the bottom is the same, the fraction remains equivalent. So I can multiply top and bottom here by 10. And if I multiply top and bottom here by 10, I get 2.5 times 10 over 3.5 times 10, which is 25 over 35. And we removed the decimal point, and now we just have whole numbers on the top and bottom. It's not quite a fully simplified fraction, because this 25 over 35, I can still divide top and bottom by 5. So that will give me 25 divided by 5 over 35 divided by 5, which is 5 over 7. And is there any number that goes into both 5 and 7 that would make this any simpler? No, there isn't, so that's my final answer. So 2.5 over 3.5 is equal to 5 over 7. And that's as simple as simplifying fractions is. It doesn't get any harder than that. That's all you have to do. See you in 1.3.